Before I start this video, if you've not subscribed to my channel, I'd appreciate it if you could hit that subscribe button. If you like the video, please click the like button, share this out through social media, and leave comments in the comments section. Today, I'm going to be discussing how my love for the NFL has finally died. And I guess I don't need this anymore. Nope. That feels better. My love for the NFL really died to the mumblings of a Spanish rapper that Hispanics could not even understand. But that wasn't the only reason. Basically, a 50-year love for a sport was killed by 1,000 wounds. And the first wound happened way back in 2016 when Colin Kaepernick decided to use the NFL to virtue signal. Yes, he started kneeling during the national anthem. And as a former member of the United States military, specifically I spent 10 years in the United States Marine Corps, if you disrespect the national anthem or the flag, you are dead to me. And I don't know why you would ever stay in this country. But, like I said, you're dead to me. And please don't quote the First Amendment to me. Yeah, you have the right, but I have the right to pretend that you're dead. And the whole thing that occurred from that, the whole myth of him being ostracized for what he did, is just a fallacy. Colin Kaepernick spent 6 years in the NFL. His average QBR was 60.25. He wasn't even an average quarterback in the NFL. He was a below average quarterback in the NFL. And just because he made it to a Super Bowl, you know who else made it to a Super Bowl and actually won it? Doug Williams made it to a Super Bowl and won it. You know who else did? Trent Dilfer. Neither of these guys are in the Hall of Fame. So it doesn't make you a great quarterback if you make it to the Super Bowl. Doesn't count. Now, maybe if you make it 7 times or 10 times and you win 7 of them, that makes you a great quarterback. But that's a story for another time. A couple of years later, in 2018, the NFL started letting males wear female cheerleading uniforms and do female routines, taking away positions from female cheerleaders. And the only question I have is, who wants to see that shit? Straight men don't want to see it. Straight women don't want to see it. And I'm going to guess that not even gay men want to see that shit. So, Roger Goodell? What the fuck? Oh, and one more commentary going back to Colin Kaepernick. Roger Goodell didn't do anything about this kneeling crap as it started spreading to other players and other teams until then President and current President Donald Trump basically chastised and embarrassed him. Then he started coming up with, I think they started fining people if they were kneeling, but he wasn't going to do it because he's a commie pussy, and we'll get to him a little bit later. But after that, the following year in 2019, the NFL and Roger Goodell decided to start social justice virtue signaling in their end zones. Even though I believe after the first year, they tried to hide it from televised games because people weren't happy about that. Then in 2024, they changed the kickoff rules. They took one of the most exciting parts of professional football, or football in general, the kickoff, and they neutered it. It's boring now. There's not a lot of returns. And it's all because they're afraid players are going to get hurt. Yet, in high school and college, they still do the traditional kickoff. You figure it out. Now we get to this year, and Roger Goodell basically has this contract with Jay-Z, who's basically another communist. And it was renewed in 2024, where Jay-Z basically gets to pick the halftime entertainment. And of course, for Super Bowl 60, Jay-Z slotted Bad Bunny, a Spanish rapper who hates America, is now headlining America's biggest sporting event. Again, make it make sense, people. Make it make sense. While this may have seemed like a good idea, and this deal with Jay-Z seemed like a good idea, the last couple of years it hasn't been going so well. Now, I'm going to quote the Samba numbers here because Samba measures households in the United States. And why is that important? Because all the advertisers that paid $10 million for a 30-second slot this year only care about the American audience because they're going to be the only people buying their products. And how has that gone for Roger Goodell and his commie pussy self? Well, in 2024, Usher had 30.1 million Americans watching his halftime show. In 2025, Kendrick Lamar had 28.8. Ooh, lost 2.3 million Americans in 1 year. Now, the dinosaur media tried to gas everybody this year. They tried to massively gaslight everybody, which is step one of any time that they know there's a failure. When they know a failure's coming, the first thing to do is to lie about it. Lie to everyone. They tried to say that Bad Bunny's halftime performance was the most watched in Super Bowl history. No. That ended up not being true. Bad Bunny this year, according to Samba, attracted 26.5 million viewers, down about 3.3 million from Kendrick Lamar and down 5.6 million from Usher. And what is even more damaging is he basically lost 40% of the American audience. The Super Bowl was watched by 48.6 million people in America. And he lost almost half of them. When those numbers came out, every one of those advertisers who paid $10 million, I guarantee you they're looking for a partial refund, because when you sign these advertising contracts, there's a performance clause in it. And it's basically going to say that we expect to get X amount of viewers when our commercial is being run. So those people who are getting their commercials run around halftime, yeah, they're coming to get their money back because they got ripped off. It's just, it's really, really frustrating to watch a great American sport just be kidnapped and held hostage by basically communists, Marxists. And I'm not going to tell you to stop watching the NFL. However, you cannot complain to me when shit like this continues to happen if you're not going to turn it off. Now, a lot of the stuff regarding Turning Point, I don't know how big of a deal to make about it. I'm going to guess that when all the numbers come in, they're probably going to have over 10 million views for their halftime show, which really isn't too bad considering how quickly this was put together. They only had a couple of months. This was thrown together really slipshod at the last moment. You may argue a couple months is not a short period of time, but when you're trying to organize something like this, it actually is. Now, what I hope is that if Turning Point is going to do this as a protest to next year's entertainment, assuming that the NFL continues to be stupid and put people that are divisive on their halftime entertainment, I'm hoping that Turning Point will plan this out more. And if they do, they will probably start stealing advertising from the NFL. People are going to start going there and putting their advertisement on there. And I'm sure it's going to come a lot cheaper than $10 million for 30 seconds. And they're going to reach a pretty large audience. And it will continue to grow if the NFL continues to ignore its fans. That's probably where we're at. I don't think the NFL will change, at least not in the next couple of years. They will continue to do this, and their numbers will continue to decline. And as for me, like I said, I've checked out. I might check back in if Roger Goodell is fired by the owners, which he should have been a long time ago. He's an incompetent boob. If you've ever watched the draft, there's a reason why everybody boos him and boos him loudly. He's a shitty commissioner. He should have never been elected commissioner, and he should have never kept his job this long. And NFL, you reap what you sow. With that, I'm going to wrap up this video. And like my father told me when I was 18 years old, get out.